In today's video, I'm going to talk about 4 underrated and amazing features of the Panasonic S5II. Starting with number 1, which is live cropping. Now, live cropping basically allows you to set a keyframe in the camera itself. This can save you a whole lot of time and backache by not having to bring things like sliders with you onto location. Basically, what you can do is you can set a point A, keyframe it to point B, and the camera will sort of crop in and it will add that camera move. So the main moves you can do with this are crabbing left to right, peding up and down, or pushing in and out. You could even go diagonal as well, but I don't know where you would use that. This is such a useful feature and I've been using it more and more and more lately, especially for product videos and if I'm out and about getting a bit of B-roll. Now, I used to bring a slider with me to a wedding, but what happens if you bring a slider is, not only is it a lot of extra weight, people just tend to walk into it. It's not an easy thing to walk around with. And if you've got anything pointing out with you carrying it over your shoulder, it's quite dangerous as well. This is a super useful tool. So to do this, all you need to do is you press menu on the back of the camera, look for the red video icon in the menu, click on that, scroll all the way down to the other little video menu with the little dots underneath it, scroll all the way down and look for live cropping. Then in there, you can use the back scroll wheel to control how big the box is. And you could use a thumbnail or your finger to move where the box is going to go. So what I like to do, for example, is make the box smaller, move it all the way over to the left, press set. That will set point A. Then move the box all the way over to the right and press set again, and that sets point B. Now when you press record, the camera will crop in and it will do that move. So I've used this to do like reveals from behind objects or to push in during like a vlog or something. I would also like it if Panasonic do happen to see this, add even more keyframing. Some of the other things in this video revolve around keyframing and stuff essentially, and I love being able to do this. That brings us on to the second amazing thing you can do on these cameras, and that is in that same menu. So you've pressed menu, you've gone into the video menu, just a few up from live cropping, you'll also see focus transition as well. So focus transition is a little bit more complicated. I'm going to try and cover it, but as you can see, I have no script or anything. This is all at the top of my head. Once you've pressed focus transition, it basically allows you to set different focal points in the scene. So all you do is you select focus transition, and then in that option, the top 3 buttons on the camera, ISO, white balance, and exposure compensation, will become keyframe markers. And what you can do then is set a point A, B, and a C, or a 1, 2, and 3. Once you've done that, you press record and you'll have some little numbers on the bottom, and you can press 1, 2, or 3 and it will cycle between those focal points. You can also change the speed as well, so you can have super high, so it's really snappy, or you can have it super low, so it's really nice and slow focus transition between point A and point B. Now the other thing you could do is you can also change how long it takes between those transitions, so you could have 2 seconds, 5 seconds, or even more than that if you wanted to. It's a really useful feature. I think there's also an option where if you hit record, it will automatically cycle through them transitions, but don't quote me on that. If that sounds like an interesting feature to you, I'll dig into it even deeper and I'll make a full video about it. Now that brings us on to the third awesome thing you can do in the Panasonic S5II, which is really simple and really underrated. Now most of you probably already know that you can shoot in open gate. This means you could reframe one video for all social media platforms. You could have a 1:1 square, a 9:16, you could have 16:9, and so on. It's really useful. Essentially all it is doing is recording the whole of the sensor, because believe it or not, technically without this, all cameras become crop sensors. So this is using the full width and height of the sensor. So how do we set this up? Well, you're going to press menu, you're going to scroll down to the cog, you're going to scroll all the way down to the little camera icon. There's 2 next to each other. You're going to choose the bottom one. Then you're going to scroll down to where it says frame marker. Now in that it will say set, and it will give you a couple of other options as well, like on. So what you want to do first is obviously set which frame marker you want. Now what I like to do is set a 16:9, because most of my corporate stuff is going to go onto the internet, and typically web pages and YouTube pages are in 16:9. It's a very common format. The other one second to that, which is probably going to overtake it actually, would be 9:16. Now what this will do is we'll add those frame markers onto the screen so that you can remember to frame your work accordingly. It's a really useful feature, and you can change the opacity of those markers to completely block out anything that you don't want there. But what I like to do is have it on about 25% so you can see what's going on, because ideally that video is going to be repurposed across multiple platforms. It's a really simple and really useful feature to have. The thing I would love Panasonic to add to this would be the ability to add multiple frame markers on at the same time. This is a direction we're moving in as creators. We need to be efficient when we're making work for multiple platforms, so that would help even more. Now that brings us on to the fourth and maybe a little bit subjective thing that I think is amazing, and that is the ability to change the frequency of the camera. So typically the most popular formats are NTSC and PAL, so that's 50 and 60 hertz. Now that's really useful because PAL regions and NTSC regions were typically different. So if you needed to change between them, you simply go in there. Where that can come in handy is if you're filming in a place where sometimes a light might be set to like a 50 hertz frequency, so you'll have to change it to match the light, otherwise you'll have flickering. So one of the other reasons that it's useful is if you choose the NTSC mode, number one, not only does that matter anymore really, apart from, like I said, maybe where there's lights, and there's other ways around that as well, by the way, but also it just gives you a little bit more flexibility for doing slow motion stuff. So I typically tend to shoot in this frame rate if I'm going to be slowing the footage back. So any kind of sports or fast moving events, I'll switch to that. Outside of that, I absolutely love being able to shoot in the 24 hertz cinema mode. Now, basically, for 99% of the time, that's not really too important. However, if you are trying to closely match that cinema look, then this is going to bring you one step closer to that. Sure, it's not a huge difference, but I do like the fact that it is a true 24 because it makes working out cuts a little bit easier. For example, 1 second, 12 frames is half a second. Really useful feature, and again it's going to bring you a better approximation of that cinema look, and it's a feature I really like. Now there are tons of other amazing features in these cameras. If you want me to cover them or any of these features in depth, let me know in the comments below. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and I'll get back to you with another video as soon as I can. Catch you later.